Hey everybody, and welcome to the Chapter 1 review. Just a quick note before we begin. Make sure you've gotten really good at the other lessons before starting this. This should be the final thing before the exam, so if anything's confusing to you as we work through this, that means you need work to do in the other lessons. So let's begin question 1. So in this question we're asked to count by ones, and we have to complete the list over here. Now, what I recommend for this is, first of all, remember what the rule for ones is, that there's a pattern of the last digit over here repeating in terms of 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, and 0. That's how these last digits keep repeating. So what I would do in this case is I would find the number that I'm going to start at, and it would be 9. That's what's over here. And then I would pop in all the other numbers in order. So after 9 comes 0. And then I start all over back here again, 1, 2, 3, 4. So I'll write 1, 2, 3, 4. And remember, you put an up arrow over the 0. So what that means now is that this number in front over here is going to change once it hits the 0. So from a 15 to a 16. And then what happens here? A 17, right? Right? 17? I hope you didn't do that. No, it would be 16. Okay, because there's no arrow over here. So it stays 16, 16, 16. So it would be 16, 0, 16, 1, 16, 2, 16, 3, 16, 4. Now if you were to read these properly, it would say 159, 160, 161, 162, 163, and 164. Now what I want you to do for these is try these on your own using the same pattern. Okay, so pause the video and we'll come back in a moment. Okay, we're back. So this is what you should have got. After the 7 over here, well, let's see, here's a 7. So we should have put 8, 9, 0 and then start it again, 1, 2, 3, 4. So 8, 9, 0 and then 1, 2, and we stop right there. So what's going to be changing? Oh, let's put the arrow. Where does the arrow go here? Where did you put it? Well, let's see, we have a 0 over here, so you should have put it over the 0. And then this number, whatever's in front, is going to change when it hits the 0 only. So here it's 93, 7, 93, stays the same, 93, 8. 93, 9, and then 94. It increases one time, and then it stays 94, and then 94. For this one here, you should have put 9, 0, 1, and then going backwards, we should have had a 7 and a 6. And then where's the 0? Find the 0, put the arrow over it. It's right here. And then continue the pattern. So we have 99, 8, 99. Here, let's change the color for that. Let's delete that for a moment here. Let's go blue. So we have 99, 8, 99, 9, and then what happens over here? The 99 becomes 100. 100. So this number altogether becomes 1,000. And then the 100 stays in front like that to give us 1,000, 1001. And then going backwards, what happens over here is you should have put a 99 and then another 99. Nothing really changes here. Only at the 0. And then over here we have a 7, so we're going to have an 8, then a 9, and then a 0, and then a 1. And then going backwards, you should have had a 6 and a 5. So it goes in order, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 0, 1. And then find the 0, put an arrow over it, like that. And then we're going to finish up the gaps here. So 85, 7, 85, 8, 85, 9, and then 86. And then 86 over here stays, and then going backwards, you should have put an 85 over here and an 85 over there. Now try reading these numbers here and have somebody make sure that you're reading them properly. It should say 100, 855, 856, 857, 858, 859, and then 860. There was no real fancy trick in this one. It was basically just counting by ones on your finger and making little tally marks to help you along. So to do this, you got to be really good at counting by ones, which is what we just finished in the last example. So let's start this over here. If we're good at counting by ones, this should be no problem, because you would say 757, 758, 759, and then 760, and then 761, 62, 763. 764, 5, 766. And then going backward, you should have put 754 and then 751, counting backwards. So take a moment, pause the video, try the last 3 examples over here, and then come back in a moment to compare. Okay, so that's one row. If you got this, give yourself a check mark. Let's go on to the next one. 432, 435, 438, and 441. Going backwards, you should have put 429 and then 426. Again, give yourself a check mark if you got that right. Otherwise, go back, review the lesson on counting by 3. So give yourself another check mark if you got that right. In this next example, I'm not going to show you how to do it. Okay, this is pretty much the same idea as counting by 3s. It's just now counting by 4s. So pause the video right now. Copy after you copy these down, and come back in a moment when you're done, and we'll check our answers. Okay, we're back. So for the first row over here, you should have got this 195, and then 4 more makes 199. And then after that, it gets to 203. Not 203, just 203. And then 207. Okay, we'll learn about why you can't say 203 in a later lesson. So going backwards now, 195, then you get 191, and then 187. So again, give yourself a check mark if you got that. Next example, 273. Okay, so give yourself a check mark for that too. 894, what's 4 more? 898. And then, oh, this one here, 902. Oh, if you got that one, that's probably the hardest part of this entire question here. So great job if you got it. 4 more makes 906. Now backwards, 890, like that, 890, and then 886. So again, another check mark. And the last example, 992, 4 more makes 996. 4 more makes 2, or actually, what am I writing here? 200. It's 1,000. And then 1,004. This is a bonus one. If you got this right, it's just a bonus question. Good for you. Otherwise, don't worry too much about it. You'll never get a question like this on a grade 3 exam. Going backwards, 992 becomes 900. What is that? 988 and then 984. Okay, another check mark. Great job, guys. If you got this one, good work. Otherwise, go back and review the lesson that I've made on counting by 4s. Quick review in counting by 5s. The pattern for counting by 5s was that the last number always changes from 5 to a 0 to a 5 and then a 0, and it just alternates back and forth. And then we find the zeros and we put up arrows over them. Like that. So what ends up happening now is the number over here, whatever's beside the 5, will change when it hits the 0. So from a 19 to a 20. And I don't like that color. Let's go more pink or red. So we have 20, and then it stays here 20, and then it becomes a 21 over here. And then it stays at 21 because there's no arrow, and then it becomes a 22 over here because of the arrow. So that's what the answer should be for the first row. Now take a moment, write down all of these questions, these 3 over here, and then try them on your own. And then pause the video, come back when you're done. Okay, we're back. So for the next question here, you should have wrote this. 0. So you get 285, 290, 295, 300, and then this pattern repeats. For this next one over here, a little bit more tricky question because it's right in the middle, not at the beginning. So we have a 0 over here. So we're going to alternate them from a 0 to a 5. Let's do this green too. 0, 5, 0. And then we'll put up arrows over these numbers. Now this one here, it's a little bit trickier. So we're going to use a little bit of common sense with this. We have a 99 over here. And so when it hits the 5, it's going to stay at 99. And then when it gets to here, it's going to hit 100. So it becomes 1,000 basically, this whole number. And then when it hits here, it's going to become 1,005. So this here is a bonus part. In grade 3, we're only responsible for getting up to 1,000. So this is a little bit extra work here. Now going backwards, this is where the common sense has to kick in. Like, take a look at this. You have to decide what number goes here. Now, you have a couple options. If you put a 99 over here, look what ends up happening. When you hit this number, you see the up arrow. That means this 99's got to change into 100. But that's not what happened, right? This is not what's going on here. So what that means is this must have been a 98. So from a 98, it gets to this part here, you get the 0, it turns into a 99. That's the only number that can actually fit here. What about over here? Well, let's say I decided to put a 97 over here. Let's say I didn't know any better. I put a 97. This would be wrong because look, from a 97, you have the up arrow. Look what happens next. There's no arrow over here, which means how did the 97 turn into a 98 with no arrow? What does that tell you? It tells you that this must have been a 98. So here you have a 98. It gets to this part, it doesn't change. Okay, so this is just some common sense, and if you've done enough practice with counting by fives, this shouldn't be too difficult right here. Now, another way of doing this is just if you're good at counting by fives, you can probably figure out that there's 80, and then so you have 80 over here, then 85, 90, 95, and that pattern right there. So that could also help you out too. Now the last question, again, a little bit more common sense, just like the last one. So let's underline the 0, and then we'll do the pattern. So 5, 0, 5. I'll put a 5 here and a 0 there. Put up arrows over these, like that. And let's go forward first. So from an 89, this is going to stay an 89. So that's going to be 89. And then it'll become a 90. And then a 90 will stay. Going backwards, what's this number going to be here? Okay, well, think about it for a second again. If you put an 89, that would make no sense at all, because for one thing, there's already the same number over here. It doesn't really match very well. But it also, at another thing, this 89, when it hits this number here, the up arrow, why is it still an 89? Okay, so that means automatically you did this one wrong. It's got to be an 88, one less. Okay, so we're going backwards. That's the reason why it's one less. And then over here, then let's put an 88 here and see if it matches the bill. So at 88, gets to here, there's no arrow, so it stays in 88. It matches, it works. Counting by tens, what was the rule for that? Well, remember we said 10 has 1 0, so what that was going to mean is that we're only going to keep one number the same, whatever that last number is. So 1 0, one number. And it doesn't have to be 0 here, it could be anything. So that 0 here, because it's the last number, it's going to stay the same. So we could just fill it all up with zeros over here. And then what ends up happening is, I mean, if you put an up arrow over all of these, you could still do the up arrow thing here. It's not necessary, but from a 14, whatever that number is, it's going to become a 15, and then a 16, and then a 17, and then backwards is going to be a 13 and a 12. So you have 120, 130, 140, 50, 160, 170. Try the next 3 on your own and then pause the video, come back when you're done. Okay, we're back. For the next question here, the 0 should have stayed the same. And then these are all zeros. And then from a 97 over here, should have been a 98, and then a 99, and then a 100. Hey, what's after 100? 101. And then going backwards, you got 96 and then 95. Next question, you should have done this. So that's a 0. It stays the same. Don't ever change that last number. So the 43 over here, it's going to become a 44, 45, 46, and then backwards is going to be a 42, 41. Now, how about the last one over here? Well, you have a 3 over there. It's not a 0 like all these other ones, but it doesn't matter. The 3 will stay the same. Right? 1 0, one number. So 3 3 3 3 and 3. So the 18 over here, it's going to change. Now, what is it going to change into? Well, from an 18, it's going to go to a 19, and then a 20, and then a 21, and backwards is going to be a 17 and a 16. So this should say 163, 173, 183, 193, 203. So that's counting by 10. So give yourself a mark for each correct answer. And if you feel like you're ready, let's try the next question.